An Austin police officer convicted of killing a man in 2019 could be sentenced sometime this week. In early October, Officer Christopher Taylor was found guilty of deadly conduct for the death of Mauris Desilva. Today, he and his attorneys were back in court presenting their witnesses as they push for a lighter sentence. Joining me now is KVUE senior reporter Tony Ploheski. And Tony, you've been speaking with experts about what kind of sentence Taylor could actually get. What have you learned?
Well, it's becoming really legally fascinating for a lot of people who've been watching this case. And so, Darrenisha, to fully understand this, we have to go back in time a little bit. Before the trial actually even started, Taylor's defense team asked that should he be convicted, in the event that he is convicted, that the judge presiding over the case be the one to sentence him, not the jury. And so now, looking at that, what legal experts say, many of them that we've been talking to, not just in Austin, but across the state, is that under state law, because he was found guilty of a crime that involved a deadly weapon, the judge can only impose a prison sentence. The minimum in this case is 2 years. And so certainly Taylor's defense team has been hoping that she would impose probation. They believe that there is still a chance that she can impose probation, that there is a legal venue for her to do that. They say, according to the law, for her to do that, she would not have to enter a finding of that he used a deadly weapon in the death of Mauris Desilva. But again, it's really a legally complicated area, but there is a growing contention that the judge likely will sentence him to at least 2 years in prison.
Okay. Are there any other issues in this case that stick out to you?
Well, one of the things that is also interesting is whether or not Christopher Taylor, should he be sentenced to prison, would be allowed to obtain what is called an appellate bond. So in other words, for him to be out on bond, even in the event that he is sentenced to prison, his attorneys would have to file motions for a new trial and possibly an appeal, in which case he could possibly be entitled to not go to prison while those appeals and while that motion for a new trial play out.
So if he is sentenced to prison, what could happen next?
Well, that is where we could see his defense team really do make efforts to try to prevent him from ever seeing inside a jail cell. Darrenisha, one of the things that is also increasingly a topic of conversation is whether or not the Governor Greg Abbott, could possibly intervene. We saw him make an intervention with regard to Daniel Perry in a case that got national attention last year, but that is also a major question in this case, is should Officer Taylor be sentenced to prison, whether or not the governor would use the power he has, which is clemency, to step in and stop him from going to prison. The governor's office so far not speaking publicly about that possibility.
Okay, we've seen him do it before, so guess we have to wait and see if he'll do it again. Senior reporter Tony Ploheski, thank you for joining us.